caps. You have to imagine things like the Orianna and the Taliyah will make their way onto the ban table relatively soon. Jarvan going to be taken away from Canyon, so some of that early game playmaking going to be denied from him. The Kalista respect towards Hans Sama. When you think of Hans Sama, two champions that always come to mind, Draven and Kalista.
I want to see if the other one gets banned away. With the Nico off the side as well, something that we have seen in fruition so far in the World Championship. Will another jungler follow suit? A lot of Kai'Sa first picks have come through. The Xayah Rakan still on the table as well. Thaddeus, anything else you want to note that feels like it needs to be priority here for G2 as Lee Sin's also taken away?
I think Orianna, if it's up and available, they're just going to grab it for themselves.
Okay.
The question is, do D+ feel like it's a big enough threat? Do they think that they have an answer to it? And it seems like that they do. G2, will they prioritize this Orianna? Will they give Caps one of the best mid laners on the current patch?
I feel like on the other side, Showmaker, who started ramping up a bit towards regionals, is no fly to that champion either. Betty, she hit the nail on the head. Looks like that first pick going to be looked over in response to giving away maybe a stronger bot lane to Deft and Keller.
Well, bear in mind that the Taliyah is still open. We know that Canyon is very versatile when it comes to the jungle, but he's also someone that loves to invade, loves to power farm, someone that will often find ways to have scaling impact. But no, they're just going to answer with a high priority on the Alistar. We did see this a lot over in the LCK. They love their Alistar, but you got to be mindful because G2 Kog'Maw Braum, something that they love to pick into things like Alistar, gives them lots of range, a lot of scaling power, and something that they don't even have to prioritize right now. They may very well... oh no, they're going Draven!
Yes. You said it, there's 280 carries that you need to respect against Hans Sama, and one of them's left open, and G2 enter Worlds say, let's watch.
So at MSI, Gen.G did the same thing, and Gen.G made fun of them on the Draven. So, Deft into Hans Sama's Draven is going to be an exciting on the Maokai. An EU standard, something that we've loved to play throughout the season finals and summer. Going to be in the hands of Yikes, something he's been playing a huge amount of. So no stranger there.
I want to develop into how Yikes been as the players we get into game, especially with a pick like this to open things up. On the other side though, do D+ go for jungle, or is it about cementing Deft in the bottom side before Deft gets banned out?
So Varus is a champion that has pretty good range, can play at distance when playing up against a Draven, but also ties in with the composition that they have with pretty solid poke and range, right? As Xayah and Varus playing around these neutral objectives can be very difficult to close the gap on. And I think G2 is going to be looking at something like a potential... Well, I wonder what direction they'll go, whether they want something like a Leon or if they want a hard, super aggressive bot lane 2 versus 2. Maybe a Rakan for a little bit more team fight prowess if they're worried about how many engage options they have.
Would something like Braum be okay here, Thaddeus? Because remember, again, you've talked about it in different contexts, but with a lot of engage options on the side, a lot of lockdown already I see from D+, I feel like some exemplified support options might be the choice.
It depends if G2 feel that Maokai is enough by himself to start the fights. Bear in mind, depending on what direction they go in top lane, you can already see the Jax being banned away from D+. Thinking about what direction that D+ could be thinking, Renekton is of course still up and available. We know that Kana does love to play a number of carries, but when we look back at when he was making his way through the regional gauntlet, it was mainly Renekton, K'Sante, and Jax that we saw from him in the top lane. With K'Sante taken off the board and Jax, will they look to remove the Renekton as well? Or perhaps they're looking to leave that open so they can have a relatively safe line?
It's a great question. Again, Broken Blade could punish it as the Pyke against Vicky.
That's what I'm saying, man. The cooking. Like, there's so many random picks that you've always got to be aware
That's what makes it so hard to ban against him. You have to go in so many different directions at once, and that's why I was getting excited casting G2 coming into today, because again, feel like they're my little LPL team over in Europe, as Rumble's also taken away, which has also been a strong pick rising up in the meta here.
So I wonder if G2 is kind of encouraging D+ to go for that Renekton pick. They're kind of saying, you know what, maybe you should go for this champion with Rumble taken off the board. There's not that many things that have that can be a good answer into it, but of course they have the Kled. They're ready for champions like that, and I think D+ is doing the smart thing here. Just lock in your jungle, get something that can give you a little bit of engage. Rell, someone that we haven't seen a huge amount in the jungle so far in this tournament, but still very prevalent, very strong, and I think is an easy way for D+ to have good engage and follow when combined with the Alex.
But it also means we've got top last pick here on red side, so Vetty is setting up Kana a little bit to deal with what G2 have to say. Now all cards are going to come onto the table. What does Broken Blade play?
It's a big question. Will it just be the Renekton? Will they play it safe?
No, please!
Brings into question then, will this be a Braum or will this be something that G2 want to go for a little bit more engage? I'm looking at the Rakan as an option, Renata as well. Very powerful lane, and they're going to lock it in.
All right, so the 2v2 strengthened up. We're already looking inquisitively down towards Hans Summer on the Draven, but now it's for that R5. What happens up in the top side? We know solo queue, there's been a lot of Quinn going around, but here at Worlds, haven't seen it so far. Other explosive matchups we've been looking to see, like the GP. I'm theory crafting here, Bettis. I'm trying to throw some things out,
Jace
but it could be
Kana.
simple.
That's what it's looking like. Of course, we know that Kana is a very experienced Jace player throughout his history. It's been something that he's very happy to go back on. And you look at the composition from D+, range, poke, being obnoxious. It fits very nicely into their composition.
Yep.
G2 is very much about the bot side of the map. Don't be surprised to see G2 do a full clear bot side into early level 3 play from Yike. It was something we saw a lot from them during the regular season. You imagine that they're just going to leave Broken Blade largely on an island. Wouldn't be surprised to see D+ actually invest a couple ganks up towards the top side. But maybe Canyon's priority will be making sure the bot gets through laning phase largely unharmed.
Okay.
Because you look at the scaling, you look at the range that they have. G2, outside of Maokai, they don't really have the easiest engage tools unless Renekton can find a flank, which means that as long as they can get first onto the objective, force G2 to come into them, they have a lot of tools and options to just kind of chip away at G2's health bars and then go for the big fight afterwards.
So my further follow-up question is, if it's all chill from there, if they do get through the lanes, then are we just looking towards the later the game goes as well, the poke being unmatchable, unbeatable?
I do feel like that unless G2 can find big team fights, you look at their straight 5v5, they have a lot of damage. Renata can be so impactful in terms of space control. Maokai the same. Orianna Shockwave, you know how her scaling works so well. And Varus, with very limited mobility, if Renekton can get onto that backline, it can be chaos for him to actually play the game.
Very true.
So it ultimately comes down to the space that they all control, the pre-fight expectations. How much damage can D+ get with their poke composition? Will G2 be able to find a quick engage where they can gain access onto the backline? It's an exciting one.
Oh yeah.
G2 versus D+. We're finally getting onto the Rift Hysterics. Are you excited?
Oh my god. What a question, Bettis. Of course I am. G2 versus D+. It's first versus fourth, and in the past, people would discount Europe. They'd say, oh no, it's against Korea. It's going to be too hard to ask for. But this team means business. And as we talked about, they're trying to rectify the mistakes of the past and show what EU has to offer as their best team, and Vettius, may I say, their best team handedly. Watching back against Fnatic, this team is legendary.
Oh yeah, I mean, when we look at the entire year, spring is where they kind of dropped the ball. They had a bit of a meta crisis. Caps in a bit of, this is all about the mind games. He sidesteps it. Deft, mentally broken. Obviously, just looking for a bit of poke there. Showmaker able to get a bit of damage down. Running the Halo Blades on the Azir, so looking to go for some of those early quick trades. Looking across some of the other summoner spells, looking to see if there's anything too crazy from either side. Press the attack of Renekton as opposed to the typical Conqueror, once again for those short trades. But overall, nothing too crazy. You can see the comment on Def suggesting that he is going towards the poke, but early information gained from G2. As don't be surprised to see this early push. And we talked about early clear from Yike. Something that he's often done on the Maokai is look for that full clear in bot into then an early gank. G2 as a bot lane 2v2 will also try and early shove in this wave so they can get a very early bounce back to then put that extra pressure on. Whether or not they'll choose to do that in this game, we're yet to see. Yike, though, already level 2 looking for a gank bot.
You're on the nose, but he's straight away walking in, but there is a defensive ward from D+ in their river, so Canyon sees it coming. Tried to redirect, but again, a ward from G2 to spot the same, and Canyon's already just forced off.
I mean, Hans Summer and Mickey already have level 2. They can use their pressure to offer some assistance. Yike actually stealing away the Grot, but level 2, really leveraging the power of this level 2. Hans Summer can just keep them underneath their tower.
Wow.
Already getting a bit of chip damage. Caps not getting the best trades in the mid lane as Showmaker leverages that Hail of Blades.
And again, he's walking up for it too. At least getting the phase rush to get out of there, but Caps now at 1/4 of his HP.
So, Yike is able to steal away a camp. So a small advantage gain for him. Will now move over towards the Raptors. This will slow down Canyon just a little bit as Broken Blade looks to get a bit of a push in top. But the most important thing for G2 here is Yike has made it very difficult for Canyon to actually play around the bot side of the map.
Yep.
By already forcing him off his Gromp and knowing that he's going to be pathing towards the top side of the map, G2 have created a map state that they want, where all of the pressure is being thrown towards Broken Blade, and he can act as this weak side, while Handsummer and Mickey can leverage their 2v2 strength to continue to gain advantage.
I love the stories we set up, you know, talking about G2 in their regular season, moving into playoffs, and moving into that final, of course, where the aggression you see by this team and the versatility in their playstyle is shown on the Rift in each and every game. Already there with a handshake bot, you can see Handsummer continuing to push in, a CS lead building up, Deft and Kellen stuck under the turret, and a plate in under 3 minutes is kind of insanity.
Both mid laners are going to invest in early TP, get back to base, spend some of their money. Amptone picked up for Showmaker, along with the Dark Seal for Caps. But that pressure bot lane is unrelenting from Handsummer and Mickey so far. The early Scuttle Crab picked up for Yike means that Canyon will likely path towards bot. Will get spotted out, and that's going to be an annoying thing for D+ to deal with those saplings as the game progresses. This is why I talk about D+ trying to get on those objectives first as well, because when you're trying to face check into all of these saplings, when you're trying to get onto the objective, the amount of zone control they have, you're trying to walk through a choke point against a Maokai and a Renata, it's going to be very difficult for D+ if they are late to those objectives.
And if you don't pay the respect, then you get punished, right? Orianna, Renekton on top. I feel like there's a lot of tools, as you're talking about in draft, where even when it gets to the 5v5s, G2 can play that versatility again, to repeat the point. Canyon at least getting the reverse scuttle on the bottom side after getting spot out on top. But apart from that, CS rather even as we go for first back through jungle. Just kind of optimize to see how bot will be played out and if there's anything that D+ can do to mitigate that loss so far.
Broken Blade really needs to grab this wave. Typically you'd be looking at a potential dive here, but Canyon already going back to base, not quite level 4 yet. Is a little bit behind. Broken Blade trying to do what he can to catch, but this is not an easy matchup for him.
Cannon's run out of mana a bit there. Broken Blade can get a bit of retribution holding out for now, but that's another CS lead to talk about up in the top side. So it is balanced out across the map. No gold lead to speak of here at 5 minutes, but as we go back to clearing, it's still important to know that Cannon's not the best top laner we talked about from the LCK, right? He's not the big outstarter, a standout, I should say. I feel like Broken Blade is, though. On the other side in EU, Broken Blade has been widely aggressive, fun to watch, to say that again, and you know, kind of showing up here to start off their Swiss tournament.
Yeah, and it's funny that you talk about that, because in this game, like, they've pretty much just left him to the wolves.
Yeah.
They've said, you know what, you do your best.
Sorry,
but we know that you're going to get counterpicked. Our whole goal in draft is to play towards the bot side of the map, and Deft is no stranger to having pressure thrown on towards him. But we'll see how well he weathers the storm. So far, his farm has been spectacular.
Yep.
He's doing a great job, even though there is constant abuse underneath this tower. Alistar in the early levels, especially against a Renata, is not an easy lane for them to play, but credit to them. Deft and Kellen having a fantastic laning phase for the time being. And overall, nothing too crazy. So the gold remains even. We're 6 minutes in, and we're going to be looking at those potential early dragons, early heralds. Like, this could be a good opportunity for G2 to go for that early dragon, and just as I say, they're going to start that one off.
So we're handshaking, right? We're expecting D+ to be hitting up Herald soon. That is because I feel like, you know, with topside pressure that we've seen with a good lane, it seems like that just seems to be the deal, right?
Well, something you're likely going to see is a back soon from Handsummer and Mickey.
Okay.
And then they'll likely send Mickey up to the contest, or they may even send Handsummer up if they really want to make sure they get
Hang
that
on.
gold.
Flash away from Caps. Canyon not even needed. Showmaker just pops the ulti, and that summon's gone.
Showmaker looking for a play in mid. You heard the Dest talking about how it's been kind of sad to see the trajectory of Showmaker this year, how he's been kind of struggling, but I've only heard positive things for him coming into this tournament, and you can see that level of confidence. Looking for a play, working with this jungler to find an opportunity, getting that flash out of Caps, especially with the Herald looming in the near future.
Yep.
Definitely going to give D+ an opportunity and a player to look at for a potential pick.
Emperor's Divide, though, we'll mention, with that being down, that is not the shortest cooldown in the game.
Oh,
so
no.
with that ulti not being up, Shockwave in
Canyon.
comparison for Caps is Yike versus Canyon. Just going to beef up a little bit for the Scuttle Crab. Yike has Smite, so does Canyon, zoning him away. Good handshake, waiting for it. No, it's stolen. And a nice little trade, Canyon getting the better of him. And in fact, with that, CS lead as well in jungle that's come out of nowhere after that early game.
Nicely done there by Canyon, very close to level 6. Should be able to get that after securing the Gromp. The problem for Yike is he spent a lot of time just hovering bot, making sure that either, well, looking for a gank or even just making sure that they can get that wave underneath the tower.
Yeah.
Which gave Canyon a huge opportunity to really do another full clear, catch up in experience. And Broken Blade also doing pretty well upside in the top side of the map. Herald now is alive. We can see the Draven still pathing towards the bot side of the map. And it's Renata that you now need to keep your eyes on. We already saw Kellen looking for a bit of something as he moved towards mid and then contested that bot side scuttle. He's now in the bot lane 2v2, so Mickey's going to answer for the time.
Flash! Hang on, Broken Blade! You're insane! Flash burn from both in the end. The Ignites down, Caps comes up and threatens topside. Now the Herald swing. Let's just throw it back.
Very well played from Broken Blade. I was not expecting that, and I feel like Kana wasn't either. Notice as well that Broken Blade recognized that he could get out of that. I think it was just about getting those flash trades to set up for a potential play later. He E'd in, but then the second that the stun finished, he E'd back out again.
Yep.
You know, he didn't commit too much, and he just traded Summoner spells, trying to make the laning phase that bit easier. As Hans Summer now looks for a trade.
It's good onto Kellen, but once again, no cigar here for the finish up. But Herald, we started off the back of that, so Yike here on his Maokai, that mind you is flawless, of course, at the moment in 2023. 8-0, by the way, fun stat for you. Is pretty hot as Mickey setting up on a Death Instant Cleanse away, but will save his life, Ignites down. Couple of autos too, Kellen with the flash away as well. And G2's bottom lane matches it.
Nice.
Oh my god! This team's pretty hot.
Hans Summer's Draven. And MSI, Genji left this champion up in their first game. And they made fun of Hans Summer. They said they didn't care, and Hans Summer has been furious about that ever since. He returns to the international stage and he finds a 2v2 kill. First blood to Hans Summer.
And it's a big cash in as well. Look at the CS numbers there. Surely that item's coming on board as that's huge for G2 when we talked about the win condition being bot in the early game, Fedias. It's online.
It's also just such a huge confidence play. Look at this, initiated by Mickey, forcing Deft back out of the fight. Kellen then does what he can to try and create space. But Hans Summer, he knows that with the number of stacks he has, that execute damage is more than enough. He has a level advantage. Flash, auto ult, and they find themselves first blood. I wasn't keeping track. Did you see how much gold he got off the back of that shutdown?
I did not. I was too excited by the flash forward.
Unfortunately, I missed it, but that gold is going to propel him. Now Kana, no flash.
Well, he's in a bit of trouble too. G2 looking to replicate across the map. Just waiting as here we go. The Ents go marching one by one, and Yike says hurrah! With Broken Blade on top as well. That's stun out. There's no flash from the trade before. Cannon's like, just make it stop. And G2 with another with a 2-0 start.
He does get himself another plate. He realizes if I'm going down, I may as well get a bit of gold to compensate. This will give an opportunity. Are they going to use the Herald top? Don't see why not. Typically, you'd expect them to keep funneling that gold towards Hans Summer, but instead they're saying, you know what? Let's just actually give more damage to Broken Blade. Already in the bot lane 2v2, he was able to get that cash in. You were struggling earlier, Broken Blade. You forced that flash out from him. And now look at this. The early game gold is ballooning in favor of G2. 2K is the advantage they now find themselves with.
It's huge. Top, bot, both winning out. CS lead there. Top is reciprocated with Broken Blade earlier on. Remember, we're talking about Kana having a lot of influence up there, doing well in the lane. No longer with 4 plates taken up topside. So really good to see that in their debut, G2 is replicating what they did in their domestic league, Vedius, up here against the LCK 4th seed.
They need to keep it up, though. We've seen a North American team and an LEC team get an early lead against these good teams and then not quite be able to convert it. And while you would expect G2 to be better at some of the lower seeded teams at being able to convert that, you've always got to keep that trepidation, you know? Especially a team like D+, you can't underestimate players like Canyon, like Showmaker, at being able to find those plays. Sure. They've done it so many times at international events, and this is the duo that so many are excited to see return. So let's see. We get closer to the 14-minute mark. The second dragon of the game is available. Showmaker does have pressure in mid, moving into the bot river, and Canyon has snuck his way into the enemy jungle.
No top lane and TPs available. We've got Caps and Showmaker, if anything happens, to return to the scene of crime as Canyon's behind enemy lines. No vision there. Wondering where he is. This crash down could come through, and Mickey's unaware, but they're back in time. Never mind. Canyon waits it out, and Hans Summer goes back for his Trinity Force.
Canyon showing great respect, and Caps on the roam here.
Wow. Most agile Orianna we've ever seen. Kana, his flash is back up and available, but he gets stunned up. Not going to use it. He knows he's dead as Caps picks up his first kill. And G2 continuing to hold that top side.
Caps holding onto the shockwave in the event that Kana did flash so that he could bring him back in. Yike now getting engaged on.
It's just a crash down though. The Bramble Smash slows things down as Yike's okay, but look at top. First turret blood in under 14 minutes.
Not what I was expecting to happen. The TP as well for Caps can bring him back to mid so he can still catch this wave. D+ though know they have a window to start off this Dragon. Caps hasn't had an opportunity to base, doesn't have his Mythic. Do G2 still want to fight this? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. With the ulti from Yike, it's there with the Magnet Storm and the boot bag! Showmaker, playmaker! All you blinkers down there, stand down. It's a double over to death.
You can't underestimate the man in the jungle. Canyon finds a fantastic engage. G2, they tried to set up the play from the bot side of the map with the collapse coming from the mid lane. Canyon sees that opportunity, knows they have numbers advantage just by attacking the pincer, and they make it look clean. We're going to get a quick replay of this top one. An overall simple play. Kana chooses not to flash. The kill goes in favor of Caps. But look at this engage now. Again, look at the mini-map. Mickey and Caps are coming from the top side. Flash engage, the follow-up from Kellen. Draven doesn't get to move. The follow from Showmaker 2. Just clean execution there from the 4-man of D+.
And Deft, who was down in lane, who got cashed in earlier on, or rather Kellen did, now has gold, now has the Duskblade as well. And all of a sudden, DK's bottom lane, bet is quite relevant again. As we look at the Mastercard lane economy snapshot, it is looking good for G2 and gold, but the problem is with that one play, DK are now a threat again.
I mean, the gap didn't seem as big as it was, that's for sure.
That is true.
But you're now looking at like, okay, G2 recognize that D+ is still a team you can't afford to underestimate. The momentum was in your favor. And G2 do have a tendency, the way they lose domestically is they get cocky, you know? When they get that big lead, they sit there, they take risks, sometimes they'll skip steps, and sometimes they need that reality check, and D+ just gave it to them.
So it's a good thing. What just happened?
Well, from G2's perspective, yeah, but it's also a good thing from D+'s perspective.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Okay, I'll take that in mind as first items are coming across the board. At the very least, for DK getting some gold on Deft I mentioned before. Talked about that first item getting into transition as well, as he was quite behind. So see what G2 do now as they set themselves up on the second Herald of the game.
They'll likely use this to try and unlock mid lane. It can be quite difficult to siege against champions like Varus and Azir with the amount of wave clear and poke that they have at their disposal.
True.
But using this Herald, it gives you so much more agency to just break down that tower. Especially with slightly shorter range AD carries with champions like the Draven, for example. They've now moved both mid laners down towards bot. Showmaker continues to have that pressure. Love how he's using the Halo Blades to constantly trade onto Caps and then use that initial trade to then help clear out that wave and gain pressure. Kellen covering for his top side of the map, knowing that Herald just dropped. There's a potential risk there of Kana being in danger, but also covering in the event that Broken Blade oversteps.
Smart map movements, we all know from the LCK historically, are still existent in the 4th seed here. As a quick note, Dragons up in 2 minutes, but right now, seems like DK are covering their bases with some vision. Bot side, that's going to be cleared out by Mickey, who is once again moving as a 3-man unit. Well, DK are not willing to step up and get caught by this hard engage.
So G2 now bringing Broken Blade down into mid. They have numbers advantage, which makes it easier for them to siege onto this objective. You can see Caps joining the fray as well. Showmaker going to go back to base, has the TP.
All Chains of Corruption lands. Hans Summer out with the cleanse. Arrow not going to hit. That's a good Renata ulti though under the turret, but it won't translate. Caps setting up for the potential shockwave as they just walk away and the Herald won't open up the map.
Love the response from D+. I think they do all the right things. They hold on to the tower. They don't really give Hans Summer an opportunity to hit onto it. That ultimate from Deft was exactly that, a zoning ultimate to try and force Hans Summer away. It connects, forces a big summoner spell out from him, and they keep that tower alive while Kana also gets the opportunity to push in that top wave. And you can see that CS discrepancy from earlier starting to build once again. So even though he is finding himself at 0 and 2, he's still not that irrelevant when it comes. Sorry, that he's still relevant when it comes to the gold.
Go, yeah. I mean, considering that Kana had a bit of an early CS lead, I guess that 20 does translate in some regard. I want to also point out that, you know, you talked about Chains of Corruption before. That's pretty much back up. I mean, this is the cooldown reduction, or rather ability haste, for those new age people who aren't 40 years old anymore. How long ago was ability haste, or rather cooldown reduction?
I'm too old to remember.
Those are the good old days, though, eh?
we start talking about the good old days, we'll start talking about Garen again. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you got to be careful.
We have done full circle, though,
Exactly.
to be fair. I'm just
That's
waiting
true.
for an LPL team to pull it out, because that will happen. Actually, the Shy's playing later.
That's true. He is. You think he's one of those players?
I think he could be. He's definitely a Quinn
Wouldn't he
player.
I was going to say, doesn't he want to play into the Garen?
Oh, yeah, he does. He's
Kana
pausing this
now.
one, though. You're right.
Does he know?
He does not. Ward down. Broken Blade going to try, but finish the job this time. Flash is available. Ulti with the Dominus. Broken Blade 2. Not going to pull any triggers, but again, showcasing his strength in the 1v1.
And just a quick trade there from Broken Blade, nothing too crazy. The Dragon now spawning in 5 seconds. Broken Blade has TP along with Kana. Small level advantage for Broken Blade, but you imagine Kana should be able to make that one up relatively soon. G2 with fantastic vision control around it. You can see control wards littered around the bottom sides. It should be very difficult for DK to force their way in, and we talked about D+ being first on the objective. There are now all the saplings in position that are going to be extra bit of poke coming out from the AP Maokai. And you know what? D+ is just saying, we're fine, you can have this. We already took one Drake for you. We've slowed down the Dragon stacking. And we don't need to fight Draven right now. Trinity Force, Collector, no, we're good.
No
we're
way.
fine.
Not touching that with a 5-foot pole. Hans Summer as well, just waiting for that next cash in. Remember, he did die once, but still built up a lot of gold. 202 stacks, you can see. Thanks to our little screen there. I love it. Unfortunately, LPL, I don't get that, Vedius. I don't get,
You just
you know,
have to
the
guess.
Draven stacks.
Or
I have
you
to
wait.
guess. I have to wait till Observer gets there. Showmaker again, threatening it. But Caps holds onto the flash. That's a big brain move as teleport going in. G2 want to die this, and with Yike ulting in, Showmaker has nowhere to go. Broken Blade forces his flash, gets booped away, but there you go. Adoration for the crowd again. One more to hit the boot as Hans Summer's already cashed in, but he's looking for He X tries to get them out of there. Berserk for the time being. Running back in. G2 engage.
It's chaotic, but it's going in G2's favor. They'll find another kill. G2, 4 down on the side of D+. Deft is continuing to push in mid lane, but it started with Showmaker looking for that play onto Caps. He doesn't get Caps to flash. They played that game of chicken, and I was a bit question mark paying the TP from Broken, but he was in the river, and he was sitting there, and he wanted, like, no, I got to get here for Caps. I got to make sure I can offer that assistance. And you'll see this initial play from Showmaker. He has Cannon waiting in the wings. Caps doesn't flash. Then the TP comes through, but the rest of G2 are there to very quickly follow.
I love the patience here, Vedius, as well, right? Like, again, G2 forcing everything in that out, then launching on top. And Hans Summer didn't cash in just once in that play. Cashed in twice. Draven with 3 items out of this replay, I feel like it's the reality that DK are going to have to go against.
It looked like a good response from DK initially, but then the moment Broken Blade flashes in and Hans Summer picks up another kill. What is that, 3 now for Hans Summer? 3 1-1. The BF sword completed. G2 is looking strong. 5k is the gold lead all of a sudden. And again, question marks came into G2. How are they going to look coming into the World Championship? What form will they show us? Well, they're continuing their season playoffs form. They're continuing that level of dominance and aggression. Zero hesitation play style, and huge props to Broken Blade. Kind of the unsung hero, getting that flash from top lane, the way he's responding on the map. Great stuff from him in his debut game here at Worlds.
It's looking like a dub. I mean, win probability powered by AWS before, showing that G2 might have this in the bag. Now, of course, you're saying they've got to get it to the finish line, but massive gold lead now to 5k. The flash ball from Kellen doesn't work out. Re-engaged by Yike. The ends are out, and here's Broken Blade for the stun down. That might be a tanky Alistar, but out of the farmyard he goes. He becomes a Paddy again. Hans Summer runs forward, gets more money in the bank. This guy's interest rate is huge.
You need to invest in Hans Summer stocks right now because they are going up. G2 see this as an opportunity to start the Baron, but it's also a great opportunity for D+. Here we go, the Baron is kicked off.
Well, no ulti from Deft as they're zoned out by the Whirling Death over the wall. Kana can't do too much, and it all comes down to
Are they going to
Canyon.
flip this? Are they going to flip this?
Be very
Please
G2
don't
to do
flip it,
so.
G2.
You're saying please nobody.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Oh no!
They're gonna smack him down!
Oh no!
Vedius said no, but DK say
Oh no!
yes! Yike running for his life. He has to go down, and all of a sudden the tables have turned.
A triple kill for Kana. Canyon with another fantastic engage. G2 throw that 5k lead away.
Oh no!
And now D+ have the
Oh no!
Oh no, Caps. He may have just thrown his life away. Can he get to safety?
Turret still stands. He'll be okay for the time being, but Vedius, I shouldn't have said anything.
I saw it coming, man. I told you. I told you.
I thought I was safe because I'm not from EU. I can say those things, but I guess we're looking before the
big blunder.
wrong.
It's as the LCK casters would call it, the unique Europe Baron strategy. They get this
Dapat di na lang ginamit yung ult. Yun ang mali nila eh.
Disadvantage.
Dapat ginamit sa mga ganyan, no?
Convert this into a fight, which is
Ang
what they
ganyang
do.
team
They try to
fight.
be patient, but look at this engage. Canyon soaks up onto 3. Kana comes in. Showmaker completely safe on the back line. The 3 of them, Canyon, Showmaker, and Kana, just tear G2 apart with Hansama dead. He's where all the gold is right now. And it's a clean team fight win. It's a Baron secure for D+.
Oh
And now
no,
everyone's
baog yung Kana sa
on
top.
towards the base of G2.
Let us begin the Red Bull
Baog
Baron
yun
power
na.
play with a poke comp. Vedius, you set this up in draft. This comp has range. And what do we know about poke comps in League of Legends? When they have Baron, when they have priority and longer lanes, it is a nightmare to play against.
I mean, they're going to have to find ways to get good flanks. They're going to rely on these objectives to find good fights. They want to contest the Ocean Dragon. Here we are. D+ will start this one off. Broken Blade has gained access into the river. Yike has the ultimate available.
All right, as it starts off, it's real slow here is G2 awaiting on Hansama to get in position. He's got both summoners available, I believe, at Cleanse almost up, however. The G2 are getting poked out. This is brutal. It's now Deft and Kana who are just so painful to deal with at the moment. Dragon gonna reset, at least giving them a bit more time, but time is so good for DK.
Look at Canyon finding a flank once again.
Broken Blade looking to zone him out. There's the poke again. Hits 3. He jumps in.
Almost, mate!
Won't get the steal and won't get over the wall. A bit of an oopsie as Yike's ult sets them away.
Canyon definitely fails to engage there. Puts G2 in a position to secure the Ocean Soul. And they've also been able to waste a lot of time. The Baron's going to disappear. But ultimately, it's brought D+ back into this game very comfortably. 2 items, 3 items being completed across the board.
Oh, G2.
I mean, I'm not sure what they believe they can find here. You can see that bot wave is in a very awkward spot. Caps is going to try and push that one out. Kana, though, is becoming lethal. Look at these Jace items. This poke, we already saw it in the last Dragon fight. It's only going to get stronger from here.
Yeah, the Impaler came out of nowhere here for the 3rd item. Sorry, Sorelda's Grudge. I'm also living in the past. Remember Atma's
Yes,
Impaler?
I do remember
That
Atma's
is not that
That's
item.
very old school.
Yeah.
It'll be building Warmogs next if that was that.
Let's go for it. But the point is, Kana is 3 items strong, as you highlighted. Didn't even spend the time to upgrade boots. That man is raw damage. Broken Blade, who was once ahead of the curve, is now behind once again. G2 still up in gold, and as you said, the position of the Ocean Soul is great. But I'm kind of curious as to how these picks come through. These longer lanes, look at the vision control that's set up across the map. DK see them coming from a mile away.
Yeah, I will say that Azir and Jace just have a much easier time in these side lanes, right? Very safe in being able to push these waves out. Have plenty of tools to get away to safety. Also, Jace in a 1v1 should feel pretty confident against a lot of what G2 have drafted. He's getting very close to level 16. He pretty much has a full level over Broken Blade. And you look at the gold, like Hansama does lead, but in terms of everyone else, D+ have been able to very quickly catch up. 3rd item now being worked on by Showmaker, same for Deft. Death Cap, though, is finished for Caps, but it means it will delay his 3rd item by quite a while, because that is a very expensive 2nd item.
It is indeed, but the power with the Dark Steel stacks as well is going to be quite relevant in this next fight. Baron up in a minute 30, that's what we'll look towards. That Ocean Soul in 3. So for now, getting set up, again, continuing that vision feels like what we have to focus on. And while we are talking about items, I just kind of want to highlight, well, Def got those picks before. Not relevant, is it? No, it's not. Just in case G2 decide to pull the trigger. But I will come back, Vedius, because 3 items on Draven. Hey, this guy is still big. I think Hansama can't be overlooked, even as we get to this point in the game, that Draven can still one-shot if he's set up on some of those visible carries.
Well, against range, it's just the question of can he actually deal the damage, right? Can he get close enough to hit the targets? Because this was the biggest concern of G2's composition. You prioritize that Draven. You've got to remember, Deft is a Draven player himself. He's very familiar with how to play into, or the struggles rather, of what Draven can run into. And they're looking to take advantage of that. Great range on their side. They still hold on to this mid-tier 1. And G2's aggression has been dramatically slowed down now. Only a 1K, 1.3K gold difference.
Yep.
Baron spawning in 25 seconds. It is G2 that initially have vision around that objective. But D+ in a much better position to contest than earlier.
Insane that that mid turret on that note is still up at 28 minutes in the game. I mean, DK holding map control still as they push out mid. 10 seconds until we get towards the Purple Worm up in that top side.
Look at what they're doing now, keeping the push in mid to make it easier to control that top side river, get that vision control. The poke continues to chip away. Deft, can he land it? Not this time, but still. The pressure is on G2 now to sidestep this poke, make sure that the Baron isn't being started off, and that they can still contest this river.
DK waiting for this next one, excuse me. Feels like, again, the times might sync up as there's the poke landing onto Mickey, who tries to get that handshake out. But now Azir, Sun turret's out, Caps gets hit by a shot blast. The trigger tries to be pulled, Canyon just walks out, and G2 walk back. It's this 2 here from what seemed like such a successful game that is just now constant pressure. Death alone can exert with a turret up.
Daming tanks, oh.
D+ are using their range fantastically, and they're going to start this one off. Showmaker on the Azir will melt through this. They don't have access to the Baron right now. G2 have chosen to reset. They don't have any vision.
Yikes,
this
the
is
only
gone.
one nearby. It's just gone, Betty.
It's gone.
It's just gone. It's a blind Baron. G2 had an idea, but not in the position to do anything about it. Instead, we have to put the hopes there for 25 seconds of this Dragon Soul.
So now, it's a question of can G2 find a good fight against D+. The Dragon will be the next point of contention. And if it falls in favor of D+, they will use their range, they will use their Baron to begin a siege against G2. And we talked about how they don't have the greatest engaged tools. With Renata, you ideally want to control space and find opportunities. Kellen, you should be able to spot this flank out.
Yep, Broken Blade, the lens is there, and away he walks. Maybe the wrong target here as the Dragon now spawns. All G2 need is something to stop this Red Bull Baron power play.
But look at the levels as well, like, you know, Yike not even level 13 yet, he needs one more creeper, he needs a bit of experience to get that level up. Caps a full level down against Showmaker, Broken Blade 2 levels down, close to level 16.
True.
The flank though coming in for Broken Blade.
And look who's there, it's Deft by himself. Dominus now pop looking for Deft, and to stun him up, he cleanses the way, but Broken Blade has brought the Armada to him, flashes away. He might have done his job as he goes golden, but he should be dying here, but Slice and Dice, he's out of there. But hang on, that reset and he can't find it. However, now with the Dragon up and the Renata ulti out, it might be okay as G2 brings it 50-50 and win it out. Ocean Soul there's as Yike some reason flashes upward. But G2 has permanent buff in this game as there is also a grave labelled out for Mickey as he drops down again.
That's 3 members dead though, and D+ have all 5 members alive with the Baron buff still for another 1 minute and 20 seconds. There's no reason why they shouldn't look to try and siege right now. Yes, G2 do get the soul. They can buy themselves a little bit more time, but I feel like D+.
Lamang sa Dragon pero lamang sa push.
I really thought they could have done some serious damage to the base of G2, but instead they're looking to catch those waves. Crucially, in that last fight, Hans Sama's ultimate went wide.
Yep.
I think he expected the flash out from Deft, but look at this, great damage comes from Broken Blade initially. But look at the ultimate here from Hans. He's expecting that flash, but Deft's holding his ground. He flashes upwards while the rest of D+ come to the assistance of Broken Blade. The snipe then connects. And G2, while they do get the Drake, D+ return in kind by getting themselves 3 kills.
And now they continue on as Caps is caught out between his 2. Turret Shockwave's there, but it's Blade, there's the Magnet Storm. Chains the Shockwave. The Shockwave eventually comes through to correct myself as Caps. No! Deft with the timing's huge. Kellen gets in position. I'm not sure Deft should have died, but if it comes to 1-for-1.
Impressive play there by Caps. In a 4 versus 1, he's able to trade Deft for his own life. It should have just been him going down there. But he makes it work somehow. Are they looking for the TP flank? Yes, they are.
Oh, no.
Again, if they can win this, G2 might be able to flip things again as Yike sends out the ulti. Dominus from Broken Blade on the side. Canyon caught on the wing here. Showmaker puts up his turret, but it won't save Canyon's life. He's buying a bit of time, and Showmaker starts ordering away. But remember, they have Ocean Soul. There's another cash in for Hunt. The flash from Broken Blade. It's a pulverize, but Kellen can't do a thing. Out goes Showmaker.
Oh,
In
no!
goes G2. And we've swung again.
It's
Wipe
chaos.
out.
G2 versus D+. This is what fans have wanted for so long. It's chaotic, it's all over the place. But G2, they found their window. This time D+ was spread apart. They had 2 members mid, 2 members bot. They tried to siege onto that bot tier 2, and Yikes saw a window. He threw the ultimate down. But before he even got to that, Caps makes this miracle play happen.
Yeah.
He lands the shockwave onto Deft. The damage is insane. He stopwatches to buy time. Flash close, great reactions from Deft. But then he still gets the kill.
The ball sitting there waiting. Shutdown for shutdown. As Venius, this was the aftermath.
And then Yike with the ultimate. Kellen is zoned away by the Maokai ultimate. 2 versus 4 hit. At this point, you just kind of have to count your losses. Kana should have been pushing in mid, but he comes back because he thinks maybe with Showmaker still alive, we can turn something here. But the flash in from Broken Blade. Kellen has taken too much damage. And the fight once again goes in favor of G2. As Mickey has been finding some nice bindings.
Yeah.
Handshake, I think the ability is called.
Yes, it is.
And it drags you back in. And G2 will definitely take that handshake.
I mean, Mickey, again, the leader of G2, it feels like when you talk about the successes this year, this split especially, that bot lane still coming up clutch. It was another cash in, by the way. I think 600 extra gold. There's 4 items on this Draven with a stopwatch. Hans Summer.
Han
He's been
Sama.
getting so much money this game. And every time it looks like G2 are out or they misstep, then they come back in, and Hun Summer is the one that benefits. So now with 3K again, as this game goes on, remember the Ocean Soul in their back pocket. We also look towards the next Baron, the Elder that comes up in 2 minutes. We're going to late.
Oh my god, nice.
For a twisted advance. Now pops the ulti, but where's that going, bruh? Not too sure as G2 get poked down from range. And Yike hit me with that ulti.
They get the flash out from Kana, but it costs Mickey and Yikes.
Hang
Flash, Broken Blade now in danger. He's trying to escape, but I don't think he can get
But
very
he has
far.
Ocean Soul. It depends. Can anyone help him out? The biggest question there is they all commit. He's going to be going into GA though for the time being. G2 say no. You're too far away. The Hun Summer ulti giving leverage, but he gets out on his own. And DK pulls
1
back
minute,
for now
12
after
seconds.
pulling out the GA.
12 seconds on
Shojin
Baron.
working wonders there for Broken Blade, giving him
Another
so much
Baron.
mobility on the E. Chaos. It is absolutely chaos. There are good things and there are some really bad things from both sides, but it is delivering
Well
in
said.
some super entertaining league. Yike will begin the Baron. G2, for the
again.
love of God, don't let this one go.
It's going to flip.
Oh no!
Well, maybe if DK aren't there, it won't be a flip. As Yike sticks on it,
Nice.
Baron's going to go down this time. No harm, no foul as Caps get poked in. Showmaker teleported in for this play, but G2 still hovering around looking for a pick themselves.
D+.
They just got to get out there. It feels there's the poke coming through. Nailed down in the corner as well. Cap zones him out. Chains of Corruption doesn't connect again. Yikes ulti to zone out has been fantastic as G2 are heading the wrong way.
They're being corralled into the base of D+, but they have the Baron buff. They can get away to safety. If we'd gone back 10 minutes, I can tell you it was the same goal difference. It was G2 in this position. Oh my word. Hysterics,
How's your
30
heart?
seconds until the Elder Dragon. It's gonna come down to that.
Yep.
One more fight to determine the outcome of this game. Whew.
And I'm not sold either way on who wins this
Oh,
betting.
neither am I. It really could go either way.
So let's quickly clarify. Poking out for DK, is it still as relevant with Ocean Soul? Or are we just going to have to see them find a beautiful pick? Maybe it'll answer for me as Canyon zones off. Broken Blade first in line though. The charge continues on in as G2 look to make their way in with Elder now spawning.
The poke is doing what it can, but you make a great point about the Ocean Soul. The regeneration is coming up clutch for G2. The Elder is alive. Look at that mid wave though for D+.
Yep.
Pushing into the mid. TP is not available for Showmaker or Kana, but Kana could cook. Especially with the Dragon not being started yet. Showmaker trying to leverage his ring. The TP flank!
Oh, it's a big one as well. That will be on the Showmaker. He's got the flash and ulti available though, so it'll be hard to find the pick as Yike sets up with an Aegis grasp. Sets him into position. Broken Blade runs in with the Magnet Storm. Zones him out as Kellen looks for a flank angle and Canyon flashes out. Now, G2 have separated DK away from this Elder Dragon.
E+ is very scattered right now. Canyon has no flash available to him. And again, they're still very hesitant to start this Elder
They
off.
are. Mickey wants to handshake from behind. There's Caps on top as well. Kellen gets poked out.
But that should be the go signal to at the very least start a fight.
Yep.
Kellen losing all of his HP. Didn't use the ultimate yet. Mickey.
That's a big ulti as well. They've got to get away from it. Canyon the only one hit and enough space is drawn.
Here we go. It's being started.
But as you said, Kellen's still too low. The handshake zoning out, the poke coming through. G2 aren't letting them walk in, but Kana has an influence from the top side.
Look at the lifesteal from Hansama though.
Well, hang on, Kellen's just walking into danger though. Hansama cashes in. Kellen is beat to the slaughter again as that whirling death hurts. And thank you, says G2, for giving us the Elder Dragon.
They weather the storm from D+. They're able to mitigate the poke. Kellen with his low HP still tries to fight.
Wala na, GG's.
He gives up his
May Elder
life.
na, may Baron na.
And Hansama now leading the charge. Elder Dragon G2, Baron buffed up. 5 more seconds. Will they finally break into the base?
Well, anyone's guess here as the Baron, the Red Bull Baron power plays 4,500 with G2 almost moving to 10,000 themselves. There goes the inhibitor. G2 thinking about the push and using that Elder timer.
Bak na. Huwag nyo na,
The game will go a
huwag nyo na
little bit
pilit, push na lang.
longer to see if they can get a more solid fight.
Wow.
What up here?
The crazy thing is, I still see a way in which D+ can turn this around. This game is far from over. Obviously, G2 in a much more commanding position with the Elder, with the gold lead that they have. And a big...
Almost.
I was
Waiting for
going
that
to say,
damage.
a big shout out to Caps. He's the only player that this game that didn't receive any support. No roams into the mid lane from either support or jungle. He's kind of been roaming himself, looking for opportunities. When he was getting collapsed on bot, he was still able to turn it into 1-for-1.
Yep.
And in team fights, he's been so patient as well, making sure that he's in the right position to land those crucial ultimates. He's really stepping up here in game 1. But let's see if G2 can finally close this out, because Hysterics, until the Nexus falls, I won't believe that G2 have won.
Grabe naman yung
Cursing it
AD
again,
nila.
that's for sure. What you note about Caps, by the way,
Full
the reason
item
they
na.
got Elder was Caps, you know, onto Kellen, that poke damage that came through. So significant. And coming in clutch, I've always wanted to cast Claps. I'm glad it's not the other one. You know, I know there's been some confusion through the years. That's a sapling, ladies and gentlemen. Bit of AP coming through from Yike.
That is a flat 50%.
That's been
50,
burning
it's
for
still
10
going.
years. Stop it. How much longer must he suffer? Well, Yike makes sure it's a little bit longer to send him to the base. As G2 off that, say there's a free rotation to the top side.
20 seconds till the Elder disappears. Then the Baron is alive in a minute's time.
The third
What can
Baron.
G2, the third Baron?
Or is it the
fourth? It's the fourth Baron!
I can't count. But with the last tick of the Elder, once more, Yike sends out Nature. The Ents of the Forest don't find their mark, but at least it zones out for a second inhibitor, so the base is in complete tatters by DK.
I am very jet lagged. This game is only making me more tired, Hysterics.
Oh, really?
At first I thought the
I'm gonna
first
switch you
Baron
up.
play was just me delusional, you know?
What am I seeing?
But now, I am very much awake.
So I don't know if I trust the 4. You said there's been 4.
There is.
Are you sure? Or am I the one who's delusional?
I'm delusional.
I don't know.
There was the one that got stolen.
Yep.
Then D+ took one for free.
Oh, yeah.
Then G2 got one for free.
And, then
Now this is the fourth one.
You're right. Wow. I'm being outclassed by someone with jet lag. And I came from Australia. It's like 2 hours away. Over the
Oh!
might be caught out. Hang on a minute. This Renata separated, but it might be okay. Magnet Storm out, but that Renata ulti is insane. Running forward is Broken Blade to zone out as DK is still looking for that clutch factor, but Hansama won't let Kellen anywhere near. Go back.
Oh!
G2
Nice.
zoning them out continuously, and they might have it, Vedius. They might just with the shockwave.
Triple kill! Oh my god.
Hansama getting all the money, but Caps is getting my heart.
MVP Mickey. He sees the angle, the choke point. Broken Blade looks into the eyes of the reigning world champion and says, today is not your day. He'll force him into the G8 and they're looking for the Nexus.
The first seed from the LEC holds onto their namesake. It was back and forth. It was a little bit messy, but hey, G2, they're versatile, they're volatile, and they're starting 1-0 in the Swiss stage against the LCK4.
What a crazy game. It was so dominant for G2 in the early game. Hans Summers Draven was terrifying. But the moment, well, we saw two examples. Canyon's great engage around that second dragon, into then the Baron steal that came out as well. What an insane back and forth. What a crazy debut for your first Worlds Cast.
Hey, absolute banger as well. G2 deserve this bow. As all you can say is, EU had high expectations, and Venis, I'm glad they're hitting